Hi, welcome to the workshop. My name is Joe, and I'd love to invite you along as I document me building my own creative practice. At its core, the workshop is a work in progress and hopefully a tool I'll be able to use to document creative experimentation, play, and the lessons I learn along the way. So to get here, it's been quite the journey, and honestly, let me just catch you up to speed. So, in 2021, I graduated with a 2-1 in fashion communication and promotion. A few months after that, I found an agency which I interned at for a few months. I landed a job in January of 2022. And to start, it was amazing. I was a junior content creator, but really it was more of like a undefined role. I got to bounce between a few different teams, and I suppose balance being a content creator and also helping out and learning in the agency, which is cool. And also whilst I was doing that, I was also working part-time as a lecturer at the course I'd previously graduated from a year prior, and that was just amazing. And the more I worked at the agency, the more I realised, I actually love lecturing more. But unfortunately, I was sort of given an opportunity which I almost wish I didn't take. I was offered full-time at the agency, and logically at the time that just made more sense to take. But that was when shit really hit the fan. So I became an account executive, and as soon as that happened, I just really started to struggle, and I hit a wall. I mean, I couldn't function in my job, and then that led me to just getting super depressed, not being able to function as a human, get out of bed or just look after myself. And I just fell into a really dark place. And I even had my 2007 Britney moment.
It's Britney, bitch.
Yeah, it wasn't the fairy tale I'd imagined. Yeah, I didn't get to live that vision I had of this dream job. I was actually struggling a lot. And that's when this inner critic really just started to reinforce itself and say I wasn't good enough and that I was a failure. But at the time, I couldn't tell, but retrospectively now, I know it wasn't my fault. I have ADHD, and as an account executive, I was responsible for looking after thousands of pounds of jobs, as well as relations between clients and my team. So that was just never, ever, ever gonna work. What makes it worse is that I left an amazing job for it. So I just felt like I fucked up and that I was a failure. And after months of panic attacks and this cyclical, what am I looking for? This cyclical panic attacks, burnouts, going back into work, getting sent back home for a while, I just had to walk away. Yeah, and that was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. But at some point, you have to prioritize your own health and well-being. And I think at that point I'd sort of overstayed my welcome. But yeah, burnout is where this story starts. But it's not where it ends. After leaving the agency, to cut a long story short, I got a job at Bernardo's, and I worked there for a few years, and I managed to get a few cool opportunities there, but I really had to work hard, email, be super persistent, And in the end, that didn't end great. But to be honest, that whole 3-year gap was just super hard. I was completely burnt out for the most part. And that inner critic, that voice, it kept telling me I was a failure and that I wasn't good enough. And I sort of refer to that 3-year gap as being a blip, when I was just really in a pit of just not myself, to be honest, and consequently my creativity and my drive was affected. I'd like to compare the blip to The Dark Knight Rises. Spoiler alert, I don't know when that film came out, but it's been a while. But, you know, Batman was imprisoned in that film. He was in this pit where the only way he could climb out was to get to the top without the safety ropes and just to make that leap of faith. But ultimately, you know, he did, relying purely on that self-belief that he could. And I feel like that really resonates with me, weirdly. Like, I think I've just had to accept I am who I am as is, and I've had to evidence that inner critic that, you know what, at time it can be helpful to hear these things, but, you know, for a while, for a very long time, that inner critic hasn't been useful. So I've just told it to, you know, lay off a bit rather than shut up or fuck off. You know, I'm trying to practice self-compassion and be, you know, just nicer to myself and allow myself to experiment and play and just see where my creativity and, you know, design and art and all these things can go, rather than having a solid, super precise outcome, a place where, you know, I definitely have to end up at. I'm just allowing myself to follow the process and see where I end up. One thing which has been super helpful to me is having just like a huge, big goal I want to work towards. It's kind of just being like a North Star I can always look up towards and be like, oh, that's what I'm working towards. I think, you know, we all experience being burnt out to a degree and, you know, being a bit lost here and there. I think having that overarching goal is just like a good guide to get you back on track. And for me personally, for the last year, it's been, I really want a fucking master's degree and even a PhD. And recently it's super helped, you know, when I'm feeling lost, I realise, you know what, I can take a break, or I can be a bit easier on myself, or maybe I don't need to hyperfixate this time to work towards this big goal, and I'm going to achieve it. I can do it. It's been so amazing just to be able to evidence recently that, you know, I can do it, and that inner critic doesn't need to be there anymore. It's just been amazing. I've been loving my degree, being in Manchester, and, you know, working towards this big goal. So if you're feeling burnt out again, maybe I'm speaking to future me, but anyone who's feeling burnt out or feeling like their drive isn't there, think about your big goal and think, how can I make little steps to work towards that? And, you know, it's okay if I'm not 100% perfect. It's okay if you're not always aligned to that goal, because even if you do a little bit each day, you're one step closer. Yeah, doing one thing, even if it's so little, you're one step closer to that big goal. Hi, I forgot to film an outro. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got something useful out of it. And hopefully see you on a workshop Wednesday. Maybe not this Wednesday, but we'll see. Ta-ta!